All right, we're a little late to this weekly open or chat tournament game, but that doesn't mean we can't take a peek, and we can figure out the move order, or at least part of it. We know Turds must have gone in two, right? The only way you can have a card your color when your second turn on the fourth turn is if it is either the card you played or you took the card and they took the card you took with back. The latter is clearly not the case here, so Turds played in two. The question is, did Smoke start in 5, which might make some sense with his 8-4-6-2, or did he start in 9 and then play 5? I'm going to guess. Hmm. Either way makes some sense. He has set himself up. Which is Turds more likely to have met with a move into? It's got to be 5, right? Right? If Smoke starts in 9, 2 is in Turds' range, but it's a kind of odd move to play there when you don't have a recapture. You don't have a recapture in 1. Now maybe you have so much combo coverage. 8382 actually covers all captures but 1 with a combo back. The only thing left open would be 4666 and 3. Maybe you're not that worried about that, but I think the move order. No. Huh. No, maybe it makes more sense against 9. Because against 2, you have no. If the order is 5 and then 2, you have no combo play against 3. Well, if it's 9 and then 2, you have quite a bit. So I think 9-2-5. That's my guess. We'll find out at the end of the game. All right, thinking about the position. My main thought is Jays are confusing and I don't like them. But my second thought is, can we just block 3? Right? Something like 8-3, 8-2, and 3. It leaves you with very bad cards for the rest of the game. But you've locked in 2 and 3. No, you haven't because there's the same Jesus. All right, I'm slow to this position. Okay. I kind of think you do want to get rid of 3. You have a plus in 8. That's useful, right? So something like 8-3, 8-2, and 3. Say Smokes takes the S in 6. The Smokes might try to leave it open because he now has one card that's amazing in 6 and 8. But let's say he plays in 6. And you play 1-5-8-7 in 8. You have now flipped everything but 3. And you should just be winning there. It's hard to imagine that's not a win. So it looks like Smokes can't go in 6 there. If he tries to leave 6 and 8 open, well, going in 1 is conceding quite a lot of ground, as is going in 7, right? Turds can just block 6. So I think 8-3, 8-2, and 3 is pretty logical. I am incorrect, and Smokes has already picked up his reply. Smokes has already picked up his reply. He's picked up 4666. So maybe that's landing in 3, or maybe it's landing in 8, and he's saying I have really good up down sweepers. He does have very good up down sweepers. He's not wrong. Though I wonder if it's not obvious which belongs on which side. They do look like good up down sweepers. I bet, yeah, he's already gone 8. Okay. So we have a Z. Now, one thing I didn't notice is that Turds has a plus in 6. Turds has a plus in 6. So one interesting way to play might be 8-2-4-6 in 4. Right? If we look at the score right now, it's 5-5. 8-2-4-6 in 4. It's still 5-5. If they do anything in 7, then you play 5-7-2-7 in 6. And that flips 5 and 9. 5 combos through to 8. 8 will flip anything that was put in 7, which will also flip anything put in 4. Smokes is a double capture and reply, but it's not enough to have a double capture when you are currently down 9-1. So Smokes cannot play in 7 against 4. If Smokes blocks 6 himself, then Turdz can take in 7. Okay, that's a tie. And if Smokes goes in 3, then Turdz combos in 6 and he wins. I think. Let's count. 5-5, 6-4, 8-2, 8-7-3. Yeah. All right. But so 4 doesn't win because Smokes can block 6. How does Smokes block 6, though? If he blocks 6 with 7-4-7-5, then his 8-4-6-2 is no capture in 3. So he must block it with 8-4-6-2. Can we do something about that? Can we take advantage of that? I don't think so. We could try to hold on to 8-2-4-6, but 8-4-6-2 landing in 6 never flips anything extra. So 4 looks really close to winning to me, but I don't think quite gets there. Which then leads to, can we try going in 7 instead of 4? But I think this one's not as good. I think if we go 8-2-4-6 and 7, they could play 8-4-6-2 and 4. And we have this combo in 6, but they keep the cards in 1 and 4, so when they have a double capture in 3 at the end, that's going to be sufficient to tie. Can you play 6 immediately? Well, then 7-4-7-5 lands in 3, Turdz is only up 6-4, and 8-4-6-2 is going to capture something. So I think that's not the answer. Is there something in 1? You don't really have the combo play to justify it. I think this is a tie now. Now we should check the rules, because it is possible I've been calculating with the wrong rules. Same plus wall combo random. This looks to me like a tie. Now, did Smokes calculate everything, or did he decide this is an up-down game and I trust my cards to dominate that position? I think the latter, given the speed at which he played, but we also don't know how long he took on the previous turn, and Turdz took the full time, which gives Smokes a lot of time to think. Would 8-3, 8-2, and 3 have been better for Turdz than this? I think so, but also this is pretty close to winning. Like, right, 8-2, 4-6, and 4 is scant inches from being a win. So, it's unless my move actually is a win, it's hard to say this is worse. All right, he goes 8-3, 8-2, and 4. I didn't consider this as strongly because, again, Smokes can lock in 1 and 4 here, right? So Smokes plays either card in 7, he locks in 1 and 4, Turdz combos back, and Smokes is going to play 7-4-7-5 and 3. He's going to have used 8-4-6-2, and he's going to have 1 and 4, and then 7-4-7-5 will give him 2, 3, and 6. So I think this is the easier tie for Smokes, but it makes some sense that Turdz would hold on to the card that covers 6, right? That covers 8-4-6-2 and 6. But I think this turns out to be the easier one for Smokes to save. I am curious, so I'm gonna check if my idea was better with Monsieur Solver, but I suspect it was all ties everywhere. That's my guess. Do I have the rules in right? Yeah. All right. So I think the game went 7-3, 8-4. Smokes had 8-2, 8-2. Smokes had 4-6, 6-6. Smokes had 7-4-7-5 and 8-4-6-2. Turdz, on the other hand, had 4-4-8-7, 1-5-7-8, 8-3-8-2, 8-2-4-6, and 5-7-2-7. Oops. And I closed things I shouldn't have. Gonna just pop open the solver here and see the lines, because why not? I'm not I'm not an active player at the moment, so I don't need to bully myself into you have to use your brain. We don't use our brains here. We do a little thinking, and then we let wiser minds take over. So this thinks this was pretty dangerous after 3 moves, or there were a lot of ways to go wrong. I wanted 8-3, 8-2, and 3, which concedes 2 ties, and the ties are in 4. Okay, so my move, the only ties against it were in 4. 8-3, 8-2, and 3. And after, with cards in 2, 3, 5, and 9, 4 is by far the least likely square, maybe 8 as well, but 4 is very hard to find. So in practice, that's a very close to winning try. Turdz' move conceded a whole bunch of ties, of which Smoke's reply was one of them. Okay, but there was actually a win here on move 4. And it was 5, 7, 2, 7, and 8. I guess I should have thought about that. It is just safe. I realize you can't see the position, so I'll flip you over for a sec, just so you can see the move that, where are you? This button. There we go. 5, 7, 2, 7, and 8 would have been winning. It is nice to be safe. And it does remove a square that's a nice combo square for Smokes. My move, they would have had to find something like this to tie, which is not easy to find. And, is potentially susceptible to combos. So, okay, dangerous game for Smokes. He does hold with this very quickly played nice move in 8. All right, let's go back. The solver's just so strong. I mean, these are very good triple triad players, and I am as well. But the solver, there's room for improvement. We could all be better at this game. All right, Smokes has quick played. He noted some synergy, I think, between 3587 and 1848. This is one of those moves that, what is it, like a weak, like wrong direction side, I think of it as, kind of. Now, 3587 is not even necessarily safe in both 1 and 3. 1785 also has some synergy. I'm very skeptical of this. I'm not sure what the game plan is if Turdz plays 3881 and 1. 3881 and 1 has the benefit if it is not weak to 2, so even if Smokes has a lot of combo potential through 2, it's never at much risk. Anything Smokes plays, not only can Turdz, in 3, not only can Turdz take it with 7518, but he sets up a same in 5 with 4865, and has a great recapture in 9 with 3458. So 3881 and 1, I mean, there might be better, but this looks very simply very strong. It's hard for Smokes to go in 3. He doesn't have a capture in 4. Can he play 5? This is a type of move I tend not to consider, but is very much in certain players' wheelhouse. And actually, maybe it makes some sense. You go in 5. As long as you keep 7843, you're not going to be susceptible to combos. You probably do it with exactly 3766, because anything Turdz could put in, because it threatens 4, and anything Turdz could put in 4, you can take with 7843, and as long as there's a 6 facing down from 5, Turdz doesn't have a combo in 8. Now, if you played 3587 or 1785 in 5, with the 8 down, you could not play 7843 and 7 if needed, because 6566 and 8 would have the combo. But 3766 and 5 is actually a fascinating move, because it does set up a very serious threat in 4, and if you block 4, it has a very serious threat in 7. I don't think... Smokes has wonderful instincts and plays very well, but he plays so quickly, I never know if he's actually, like, calculated the tree. But this is a really interesting idea. I think 3881 and 1 is not just met by 3766 and 5, but that position might just be very pleasant for Smokes. One thing to note, and one thing I didn't note, but that Smokes probably did, is 2 is actually just very hard for Turdz to take in general, right? Turdz has no captures in 1 and 3. He has 2 cards that can capture in 5. Both players are very bad going up, but it might be Smokes that can take advantage of that. What an interesting idea. One thing to note, though, is if something, like, say that line happens 3-8-8-1 and 1, 3-7-6-6 and 5, something in 4, say, like, say something that can't be comboed trivially. Ooh, but something that can't be comboed by 7-8-4-3 also doesn't flip 5. I was thinking, if you flip 5, that's actually really hard to flip back, but you don't even have a way to flip 5 except for 4-8-6-5, and 4-8-6-5 and 4 gets comboed by 7-8-4-3. Oh, all right. Everything I explored was not the game. Now I'm sad because I really liked this idea, and now I'm going to go pop open the solver on that because I think this was a very interesting idea. So Smoke said 1-8-4-8, 1-7-8-5, 3-5-8-7, 7-8-4-3, and 3-7-6-6. And Turdz has 3-8-8-1, 4-8-6-5, 6-5-6-6, 7-5-1-8, and 3-4-5-8. What an interesting idea, though, right? Is this just me? Maybe it's just me, but like, just saying, I go 5, my card in 2 is safe, and you don't have play in 4, and I have a threat in 4, so you kind of have to block it. All right, 1-8-4-8 and 2 is our starter. Turdz played the very logical 3-8-8-1 and 1, which I think is, a very natural thing to do. The solver is running slowly, but it is telling me there's a whole lot of losses here. It says 8 moves tie, 20 moves lose. Let's spoil ourselves and see Smoke's move. Does Smoke's move hold? Smoke's move is a tie. Fascinating, because 7-5-1-8 and 6 seems so good. Well, he only has 1 tie next turn. Maybe we'll see. So this is very dangerous for him. But what about this idea of 3-7-6-6 and 5? This ties, and it has some pressure, right? If 4-8-6-5 and 4, 7-8-4-3 and 7, Turdz only has 1 tie. It's where you'd think. It's in 3. Which is where you'd think given no one has any up power left. But yeah, the solver wants against 5 Turdz to go in like 8, which is not usual. Oh, what a great line. I'm sad that this wasn't Smoke's point. Okay, Turdz goes 7-5-1-8 and 4 instead of 6, which also sets up a same in 5, but gives up the threat in 6. This seems to me like it has to be lower pressure. I thought this tied. Oh, no, 1-7-8-5. Sorry. 7-5-1-8. This seems to me like it has to be lower pressure. The solver is saying there are 2 ties here instead of 1 if you went in 6. But one of those ties is in 9, which is very hard to find. The other is in 5. I'm not sure which card, and I'm going to close it so I don't know which card. But it seems to me that 7-5-1-8 and 6 should be better pressure, right? This is a position, just like on fundamentals. Here we've locked in a card. There we'd have also locked in a card, but we'd have another card they can't take that's ours. And here there's another card that we can't take that's theirs, right? So, okay. I think Smokes should block 5, right? 4-8-6-5 and 5 landing is a nightmare. Similarly, if you went 7-5-1 and 8 and 6, that would also be a nightmare landing in 5, but ignore me for now. So I think you have to block 5. Again, the solver said there was a move in 9, but it seems logical to me to block 5. But what do you put there? What do you put there? You do not put 7-8-4-3 because you walk into combos, but also you need to hold on to 7-8-4-3. That's going to be a really important card. So the question is 3766 or 3587. I'm tempted. I find 3766 a little more tempting, even though it walks into a combo, because it means 7843 is set up in 7, but it's got to be 3587, right? It's got to, you can't walk into the combo and give them 3. So, all right, 3766 and 5. You block 5. Sorry, 3587. You block 5, you don't give them a combo in 6. And you still have 7843. And you lead 6-4. Turdz has safety in 7, say 4865, but he has no ups, so you can just. He does threaten 8 there. I guess you have to block 8. But you can. You can block 8 with 3587. We've used 3587. You can block 8 with 3766, and your 7843 has all the captures it needs to hold the tie. Yeah. So 35875. I think you hold against 48657. You block 8 and you keep 7843, which is a weirdly good up down sweeper with these specific hands. If Turdz goes 6, what are they going to put in 6? Let's say 3458 in 6. Holding on to 6566 because that covers 7843 sometimes. So 35875, 34586. You're down 6-4. Either of your cards in 7 are comboed. If you go 3, 7, 6, 6, and 9, they can block 7. No, not getting it to work. Oh, wait, no, it does. You can play, I keep getting confused which card we've played and which card we've kept. So 35875, 34586, you can play 78439, making it 5-5. They cannot combo that, and 3766 can capture anything they play in 8 because 3458 has come out of their hand. So instead, if they capture in 6 with 6566, then you can play 7843 and 4, and that will be safe. Yeah, so it should be 3587. And indeed, though we missed all the moves, it looks like that is what happened. The 3587 landed in 5, 4865 landed in 7, 3766 landed in 8, and 7843 was an up down sweeper. Again, Smokes just holds. 1785 just holding, and he finds the way to block 5 to hold. But God, 3766 and 5 instead would have been so cool. Turdz says was deciding between 4 and 6 for a while, looked like you had ties against both, and it turns out I was incorrect on the move order of game 1. I decided it was 925, it was 529. I guess that probably does make more sense, but 529. But oh man, 5 is very interesting. Sent a message about my fascination with that move in 5. It's kind of unfair to say I'm fascinated by a move when I've seen the solver say, yes, your move is good. This would have been a better way to play, right? Because I'm not saying this entirely as my idea, but it was my idea, damn it. I just verified it. All right, no more using the solver because the solver makes me not as happy or proud of my ideas, right? All right. Turdz to move. Man, level 6 is clunky sometimes. So I guess the obvious question is 7148 safe in 9? And the answer is yes. Are there setups? Probably. Probably. 8714 and 5 amusingly sets up a same in 8, but does not set up 6. All right, I'm not seeing. Oh, there's 7457 and 5. Okay. 7457 and 5 sets up quite nice ways of taking both ways, and is a card you probably don't want in your hand anymore against that starter. I'm always loath to give up that kind of card because I really like them. I think they're very powerful, but against a starter in 9, probably not the most useful. Okay, what else is interesting? Defensive side, idea 4837 and 4. You have 5765 to recapture in either square. Yes, that is not safe, but the capture against it is 4818, and you always have 6628 comboing that from the other end. So I think that could have some potential. That could be a plausible defensive side because you have play against their attacks. And you do attack yourself anything put in 1, but you don't really have play against 7. Not my kind of move, but I think plausible. Where else is there? I mean, yeah, I approve this kind of move. Something you can deal with easily that gets a card out of your hand that didn't look that useful. I certainly wasn't seeing any lines where 6845 had any play. And you'll notice the place where it covers 8s, 5765 does just as well. Though it covers 7s as well in a way that 5765 doesn't, and there's a whole bunch of 7s to the left between the two hands. Smokes' hand is so weirdly side to side. How do you do this in a unclunky fashion, right? You can try to make it side to side, but something like 4818 and 4 just is really clunky. 4837 and 7. No, that's covered. Okay, maybe 5765 and 7. Seems really unpleasant to me. Um, I'm drawn to the opposite corner. Maybe something with an 8 to the right in 7. Either 1857 or 4818, saying, I have a recapture in 8. You don't have a capture here. But I think the downside is you kind of don't want to play your recapture in 8, right? Say you go like 1857 in 7, and they take from 4 and you recapture in 8, and they go 9. You have nothing down. You just don't want the game facing that way. So how can you make the game organized such that your hand isn't ridiculously unpleasant to play? Maybe you go 1. All right. Smokes does go to 7. And yeah, I mean, this I think was an appealing idea. My instinct was to get rid of 1857 or 4818 there. I thought this card might have a little more play, but I could very easily be just deeply mistaken there. And those other two cards might be able to set up off each other in a way that this card can't. So, yeah, very, very plausible. I do wonder if there was a way not to make the game as down facing as this might be, but that might not matter. And oh yeah, I'm an idiot, right? One of the advantages to holding on to 1857 is that is your recapture innate, right? You're going to have very weak numbers facing up so that you can interact with it. So I think it was between this and 4818. My 1857 idea was bad. All right, reasonable play. Now, how do you attack this if you are Turdz? Not obvious at all. Level 6 hands are always very clunky to figure out how to make them operate. By keeping an 8 to the left, Smokes has made it so that if Turdz does play something like Turdz can't sequence it with like 5, 7, 6, 5, and 4. Smokes plays 8, and then he has safety in 1. And makes 1 and 4 both safe, because 5 will be vulnerable to 4818, and 1 may be vulnerable to 8714, that can plus an 8. So there's not some way to build a wall there. Smokes' captures have pretty weird numbers sticking out on Turdz' starter, so I don't see much appeal in going to 2 or 6 and like forcing Smokes to lock in the card, assuming you have play against that against that lock-in, just because I don't think you ever do have play against that lock-in. So I'm gonna say you probably go in some adjacent corner, one of the corners, 1 or 9. But if you don't set up a threat in 8, that's unpleasant. You can't set up a threat in 8 from 9. Do you ever go 5? Man, I have no idea here. I feel like every move is probably basically okay, but no move has particular point to it that I see. And that is the type of position that I think is really difficult to play. Because often, if like a lot of moves are kind of okay to bad, then like some of those bad moves are going to be losing, and they're not going to look that much different than the moves that tie when you can't find a clear path. And this is one of the advantages I think of playing opposite corners is it leaves games messier and without clear lines such that you give your opponent room to make more mistakes rather than a more forcing path. And I think if I was trying to maximize my win percentage in every game, like I just was trying to get wins, I didn't care about the difference between ties and losses, I would play a lot of opposite corners. Because I think here, looking at this from Turd's perspective, very easy for me to lose this game. For something to not click, I play like 7-4-1-8 and 7-1-4-8 and 1 because I just play something I need to recapture because nothing clicked. And I don't know, something lands safely and 4, 4 and 7 are safe, and I can't find a tie. Something like that, really easy to imagine happening. And I think this is a tough situation immediately, even though it shouldn't be that bad. And if you find a clear line, maybe you're better here. The reason I tend not to play many opposite corners is I think it would increase both my win rate and my loss rate. All right, he plays 2, so he does force the action. And he actually does have some combo setup that I didn't find. 8, 7, 1, 4, and 6 is now comboed by 6, 6, 2, 8, and 5. Potentially, but not necessarily, because walking into 1, 8, 5, 7, landing in 4, comes with its risks. But you can leave the threat in the air and maybe set up other threats around it. And we can see how this kind of thing can be unpleasant. All right. What if Smokes blocks 4? Says my card in 7 is safe to 8. I can block 4 while setting up 5. What if they play 1, 8, 5, 7, and 4? This is a move that like kind of jumps out to any player who likes sames because 4, 8, 1, 8 is a beast there. I mean, yeah, it just looks very pleasant. I think the main line there has to be so 1, 8, 5, 7, and 4, 4, 8, 3, 7, and 1, just making sure you're not susceptible to combos. 4, 8, 1, 8, and 4. That even sets up a plus in 6. Not that it's really needed, but it's there. Smokes is up 6-4. If Turdz goes 8, Smokes has the plus in 6, and he wins. That one facing out on the 8-7-1-4 isn't going to be comboed. If Turdz goes 4, I mean, depends what cards are there, but probably 7, 4, 5, 7, and 9 wins. Like 6, 6, 2, 8 isn't taking anything at the end. This looks very promising for Smokes. I think Smokes is one of his style of play, though he often describes himself as defensive, and maybe he is, but I think his style of play is one of the most suited to getting a win in a must-win game, to creating complications. I think from the start, playing a move I wouldn't have played. Like, I may have played 7, but I probably would have done so with a different and worse card. Like, he played a better move than I would have. He just immediately creates this position where he's going to have winning chances. And maybe that was true with many moves against Turdz' hand and Turdz' starter, but I don't think so. I thought this all looked very clunky. And suddenly it looks like there's just really significant winning chances. And he does play 4-8, 1-8, and 4. No, he doesn't. I thought he was supposed to play 1-8, 5-7, and 4. Okay. This is a little different. I'm not sure whether the differences matter. It looks pretty similar, but 1-8, 5-7 in his hand is not as useful as 4-8, 1-8 would be. And he doesn't quite have such threats in both squares that Turdz is forced to block them. So this is vaguer. This is vaguer. I'm not sure. Interesting spot. Well, it's time for my pal. I I have really liked Smokes's first moves, assuming certain follow-ups that he has not necessarily played, right? Though this is pretty similar. This time it's pretty similar. But man, does he creates things. Smokes is a creator. You know, he takes some position and he'll find some way to make it dynamically complex. All right, I put one of the cards wrong. Let's pop it open. I won't check the game move. I will check what the evaluation was on the other move in 4. And I will check what the evaluation was after Smokes move in 7. Smokes goes 7. Oh man, this is so much more dangerous than I thought. I'm just seeing loses by 2, loses by 2, loses by 2. Yeah, 6 moves tied. So this was just very dangerous, and I thought it might be uncomfortable, but I did not evaluate this as huge advantage to Smokes, and this is huge advantage to Smokes. Horrible, really distant misevaluation for me. I wanted 1-8, 5-7, and 4, and that was a win. 1-8, 5-7, and 4 was straight up winning. Is this move also winning? I don't know. All right. Smokes is going to play 8-4, 1-7, and 5. Let's see. Was Smokes' move winning as well? 4-8, 1-8. There was one tie, and it was not easy to find. The one tie was 6-6, 2-8 in 6. Yeah, that's weird. Turdz blocks 1. Smokes picked something up, but he put it down because Turdz has the same in response in 6. So actually, how do you play this? That makes me think maybe you block 6 or maybe you play 8. But 8's not getting you very far, right? If you go 8, they go 4-8, 3-7, and 5, right? And you just have nothing. Oh no, you could have 8-7-1-4, obviously. What am I doing? Oh, I'm having trouble seeing the position. All right, lost track of the game. All right, say you play 1857 in 8. If Turdz plays 6628 in 5, it's going to be a tie. Right? And Turdz might have other options there. Huh. All right, back to the solver. Because I'm lazy. Ooh. Yeah. So against 1857 and 8, there's 6628 and 9 because 4837 still has the same against 8714. Okay. This went tricky all of a sudden. In a way that I think it wouldn't have been, not to harp on this, but if you do a similar line with the other cards, then 4818 and 5, if Smokes had put the other card in 4, would have been very safe here. So it should be worth noting, the solver says Smokes is winning, but I have not seen the move yet. He goes 7, 4, 5, 7, and 9. I don't think that's going to be it. Yeah, so Turdz is going to play 8 because 4837 sweeps side to side. Because 1857 isn't doing anything. Yeah, Turdz is going to play 8. And Turdz is going to win this game. Turdz does play 8. What was the win? The win was 7, 4, 5, 7, and 6. Oh, because 8714 is a plus wall if 4837 lands in 5. So you block 6 because then you threaten to go in 5, but they don't have a move to play in 5 themselves, right? You wanted to go 5, but they have a response in 6. Often, blocking 6, they block 5, you have nothing, but here they don't have a good way to block 5. All right, very interesting. Really chaotic game, right? Shows the chaos of level 6. Yeah, so if we look at this game, Turdz has a clumsy hand. He makes, I think, a reasonable weak corner starter. Smokes replies with an opposite corner, gets a ton of pressure. Turdz makes a normal enough move, but it's not good enough, it loses. Smokes misses the big combo setup, but plays still a very, very dangerous move. Turdz makes a clever reply. I think the cleverest reply. It wasn't the tie, but the tie was not going to be found. But that sets a ton of traps. Smokes actually only had 1 win and 11 losses. There weren't any ties. And the win was quite hard to find. So Turdz takes a position where he's lost and finds a way to make it kind of a coin flip. Can Smokes find this difficult to find move? Smokes doesn't find it, and Turdz snags a really surprising win. Which we'll pretend fits what I was saying about opposite corners. You get some wins, you get some losses. I think Smokes did really well creating something here, and then didn't quite get the specifics right. And you sort of like, yeah, I don't know how to describe this one. You don't get a lot of swings this drastic in high level play, but again, I don't quite have the words to describe this. It makes sense it would happen between these two players. And I think it could have happened in either direction this way. But I think this was a tricky position. And I think it's also one of those things, like sometimes you're like, Solver said mistake, this sucks. No, this was an interesting game. This was very complex. I really like the move in 7. It looks normal enough, it's hard for me to quite describe how much I like it, how much I think it's a better than normal move. But I hope the fact that that move was just straight winning against a player as good as Turdz, who spent like the full 5 minutes, speaks to how good of a move that was, right? But it's hard to bring home. All right. Interesting games. Fun games between these two. This was chat tournament number something or other, round 1.